Well, boys, last night, after hours of blood, sweat, and tears, I was finally able to secure the God Roll Hezen Vengeance. Now, unless you've been living under a rock or just not paying attention to all the new loot that Vault of Glass has introduced to the game, then you might know how sought after this rocket is thanks to a single perk found in Column 3, Overflow. Yes, this is the first time we have seen Overflow on a rocket, and when paired with some of the other perks that this bad boy can roll with, people have begun to question if this is the new best rocket launcher in the game. And well, that's what we're going to be taking a look at in this video. The God Roll that you should be on the lookout for, the numbers, Mason, and if this rocket launcher is worth your precious spoils. So without wasting any more of your time, let's get into it. So first up, for anyone that somehow doesn't know, Hezen Vengeance is acquired from, of course, Vault of Glass. Loot drops from Vault of Glass work just like Deepstone Crypt, so that means you can only get armor and weapons you haven't previously obtained from encounters. Now, if you're still confused, because I know this can sometimes be a little confusing, like, hey, why am I not getting new stuff from these secret chests? Well, you can't go open a secret chest and get, let's say, a Hezen Vengeance if you've never gotten it to drop before. New loot must be acquired from encounters, like Templar or Atheon. But once you do get whatever you're looking for to drop from an encounter, then it will start dropping from secret chest, and more importantly, the end of the raid where you can choose to buy loot with Spoils of Conquest, which, by the way, is the best way to go about farming for a God Roll Hezens. Pray you get a drop from an encounter, then just stockpile your spoils and turn them all in at the end of the raid for a Hezen's Vengeance in hope that you get the God Roll. Speaking of the God Roll, let's take a look at it. Firstly, Hezen Vengeance is an aggressive frame, 25 RPM solar, of course, rocket launcher. You know, funny enough, the RPM and archetype of a rocket launcher doesn't even matter in terms of damage. They literally all do the same damage, excluding, of course, if you have damage perk. Okay, fun fact over. Anyway, Column 1 for Hezen Vengeance is going to house 7 perks. Now, because it's Column 1 and the God Roll for Hezens is really made from the Columns 2, 3, and 4 perks, well, I'm not going to go in depth on this column. In fact, I wouldn't even really worry about this column too much if I were you. I personally prefer Volatile Launch for the increased blast radius, but I also like Hard Launch for the increased velocity. You really can't go wrong with either. Now for Column 2, where you're going to find 5 perks, but you're only going to want one of them, and that's Impact Casing for the 10% damage bonus on direct hits. Nothing else in this column is going to give you a benefit better than that. Okay, so with the 2 not so interesting columns out of the way, let's take a look at columns 3 and 4. Column 3 is going to have 6 perks. In order from top to bottom, as you see on your screen: Tracking Module, Autoloading Holster, Impulse Amplifier, Overflow, Quick Draw, and Surplus. Now, of those 6 perks, there's only 3 that you should really be looking at. And those are autoloading for the ability to pop off a few shots, then throw the weapon in your back pocket and let it autoload while you're dealing damage with a different weapon, and then, eventually pull it back out and keep doing damage and repeat, and so on and so forth. Your second option is Impulse Amplifier, which is going to increase your velocity, aka rockets go faster, but also for the increase to reload speed, which for some reason a lot of people forget that it actually does that. And then your final option, and in my opinion the best option, Overflow. Overflow is going to allow you to have 2 rockets in the mag. Is it considered a magazine? 2 rockets in your rocket launcher, okay, whenever you pick up heavy or special ammo. Now, when comparing Overflow to the other 2 perks, you might think, well, I can't control when or where I'm going to be able to activate Overflow, so something like autoloading or Impulse Amplifier's increased reload speed is going to be better. But you actually can control when and where you activate Overflow. Allow me to introduce you to your new best friend, Special Ammo Finisher, or just Special Finisher. With this perk, you're always going to be surrounded by special ammo because, well, you can just make your own special ammo whenever you want, which essentially is going to allow you to constantly have Overflow active, negating any real need to reload this weapon or wait for an auto reload when it's stowed. I know it might sound like a lot of extra work, but hey, if you're looking to push out the most damage possible and melt bosses, then you probably don't mind doing the extra work. And in reality, it's not really a bunch of work. It's just pressing the finisher button to a bunch of different enemies, all within the same area. And now our final column, column 4, where just like column 3 is going to have 6 perks. Order from top to bottom on your screen: Vorpal Weapon, Lasting Impression, Demolitionist, Cluster Bombs, Wellspring, and Thresh. Now, there's only 2 perks I would actually consider using, and that's Vorpal for that 15% damage increase to bosses or just yellow health bar ultras and, some other stuff. Or your other option, and what I consider superior, Lasting Impression. Lasting Impression is going to do a few different things. It's going to make your rockets attached to whatever they hit, have a delayed detonation, increase the blast radius, and finally increase damage. The delay to your detonation is roughly 3 seconds, and the bonus damage is going to be right around 20%. Now, I really do like Vorpal, and if this weapon didn't have Lasting, then yeah, sure, go with Vorpal. But Lasting is doing more damage to everything, not just bosses, and you can use it close range and just back up to prevent being hit by your own rocket thanks to the delayed detonation. All around, Vorpal is good, but Lasting Impression is better. So now let's quickly talk numbers. And just as a precursor, all testing was done on the boss in the Conflux Lost Sector on Nessus. The roll that I am using for all this testing is, of course, the God Roll, Volatile Launch, Impact Casing, Overflow, Lasting Impression, and I'm not using any special damage buffs or mods. So shooting at who I believe to be called Carl. I did one of these testing videos a while back and I kept on just calling it the boss, and someone yelled at me that his name was Carl. So Carl, I guess, is going to result in 17,467 damage from the direct impact alone. Then the explosion 3 seconds later is going to deal 69,000 LW 550 damage, totaling to 87,017 damage a shot. Now, with double rocket launcher reserves, you can hold 9 shots, so 87,017 times 9 is 783,153 total damage output. Now, that's pretty good, but what about the DPS? Well, this is where it gets weird because of Overflow. So we're going to be taking a look at 2 different scenarios. The first scenario is going to be having Overflow active, firing 2 shots, then reloading after each shot that follows. Now, the first 2 shots are only going to take 1.05 seconds to get both off, but the following shots with max reload are going to take an additional 16 seconds, totaling to roughly 17 seconds. That's going to bring the DPS to about 46,067. Okay, not that good. Now, as you can imagine, the DPS does heavily fall off once you use those first 2 rockets with Overflow. And for anyone curious, I did the DPS numbers for the first 2 rockets, or just the first 2 shots. And like I said, right around 1.05 seconds to fire both. And the DPS, and wait for it, is 165,746, which is pretty insane. But I mean, it's expected considering you don't have to reload between those 2 shots. So yeah, DPS does fall off. I mean, considering we're comparing 165,000 to 46,000 significantly after those first 2 shots, but now it's time for scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is going to be Ultra Gamer Chad that stockpiles green like he's Mr. Krabs for ultimate DPS, or in simple terms, just do a bunch of special ammo finishers in one spot and stand in that spot so your overflow is active 24/7. So now, with doing that strat, it's going to take roughly 9 seconds to fire off all 9 shots, which is going to have a grand total of 85,872 DPS. Yeah, let me repeat that. 85,872 sustained DPS over 9 shots. And that's with me moving around picking up special ammo to continue to proc Overflow. I believe you could easily shave off about half a second if you got an entire team doing this, just creating a mountain of special ammo, which would, of course, further increase your DPS. So now that you know the God Roll, the numbers for the God Roll, which I'll say again, 165,000 plus DPS first 2 shots and 85,000 plus sustained DPS over 9 shots, is going for Hezen Vengeance and its God Roll worth it, okay? Is it worth your precious spoils? Well, no. And that's because, okay, yeah, no, I'm joking. Yes, of course it is. In fact, for anyone out there that doesn't have this Hezen roll, using your spoils trying to get literally anything else, please stop. Throw all your spoils at this rocket. Once you get the roll, okay, then you can go for that God Roll Fatebringer or whatever your heart desires. But I'm telling you, this rocket is busted with Overflow and you absolutely need it in your loadouts, okay? Now, if you want to increase your DPS even more, you got 2 options. Run literally any damage buffing mod like Argent Ordnance, Boss Spec, Major Spec, etc. Literally anything, or you could pick up, and wait for it, G Fuel using code myfi. Yup, that's right. G Fuel is the only clinically proven energy supplement to increase your God Roll drops and DPS inside of Destiny 2. I'm totally not kidding. Okay? And that is your Hezen Vengeance God Roll and all the numbers. Now, before you head out, let me know in the comments section if you've been able to get this rocket, and if so, what rolls have you managed to get? Have you got the God Roll, or are you still on the hunt for it? Let me know in the comments section. I'm curious. With all that being said, if you enjoy my videos or have ever found them useful, then feel free to subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Also, twitch.tv/myfi with an underscore at the end is where you can catch me live pretty much every other day. I'm normally pretty papega on stream, so come on over and enjoy some of that papega content. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to drop a like, and I will catch you all in the next one. Peace.